Hello Answerly viewers, we are now finished with Miss Peregrine's Home for Peculiar Children, and we are going to talk about it. So, overall, I loved this book. It became instantly one of my probably top 10 favorite books. I just thought it was so interesting and unique, and I loved the use of mixed media, the fact that there were all of those pictures that were, for the most part, real and unchanged pictures. I loved the use of handwritten letters in the book. I thought that it was such a cool addition, and it really brought it to life in a way that I think it would have definitely lacked without the pictures. Going into it, I thought this was going to be more of like a horror thriller book, which I was okay with. I don't read a lot of books like that, but I was looking forward to it. That's what made me buy it in the first place. But I was actually very pleasantly surprised when I realized that it was going to be more of a sort of fantasy adventure book. There were a lot of themes going on in this book that I appreciated. I talked about this a lot in my discussion videos, but I really liked the theme of figuring out what is true and what is false, and sort of the concept of letting go of certain beliefs as you get older, but how this book turned it on its head. I think that's something that everyone goes through as you grow up. You have to figure out which things were told to you as tall tales to get you to behave or to make processes like losing your teeth easier. You know, obviously the Tooth Fairy and Santa Claus and the Easter Bunny are these things meant to delight children, but as they get older and they realize the harsh realities of the world, those things get left behind. And I liked that this was a book that advised against that. I mean, maybe not necessarily advised against that, but I think Jacob's life was very dull before, and believing in the things that his grandfather said and going on this journey allowed him to open his mind to this whole part of the world that most people will never know about. And I don't know if this was something that Ransom Riggs intended, but I sort of took that as like a little bit of a cautionary tale that if you close your mind off to these possibilities, perhaps you'll never see parts of the world that, you know, could keep you young forever. Maybe not in the literal sense like Jacob and his loops, but, you know, just not shutting yourself off to the possibility that there might be magic out there. And again, this is all very figurative and all of that. I don't mean literal magic with elves and fairies and things, although that would be wonderful, and I'm still open to that if that were to come into my life in some way. But just, I don't know, keeping yourself open-minded and young at heart. I'm totally rambling now. I walked away from this wanting to believe that there's magic in the world. I loved everything about the loop. I loved that Miss Peregrine was, you know, sort of like this hardened woman, but also just this wonderful maternal caretaker, and that she really and truly cared for all of her children. I really enjoyed the conversation between Jacob and Miss Peregrine when he asked when he said, I don't remember exactly what the quote was, but he talked about how they're not children, but how Miss Peregrine said that they very much are. And even though they've been alive for 80 to 100 to more years, they're frozen in this childlike state, and so everyone sort of assumes the role that they have, even though Miss Peregrine probably isn't even that much older than some of the children. I just like this role that they all play. And even though it's sort of like a boring day after day after day life, when they have to leave at the end, I can't imagine how difficult that would be. I actually found it interesting that it seemed more difficult for the children to leave their house on the island than it was for Jacob to make the decision to leave his time period to go with them. Yeah, so I thought the characters were really strong. I would have liked to get to know you know, the individual peculiar children a little bit better, but there's a sequel to this book, so I'm assuming that we'll get a lot more of that there. I liked the fight scene at the end. It was action-packed and it was great. I loved the little mishaps peppered throughout the book. When Jacob first arrives in the past and everyone's attacking him and all of that. I loved the little amount that they played with that kind of stuff. In fact, because that was our first introduction to him being in the past, I was really worried that it was going to be this long journey of trying to figure out how to blend in the past. I don't know. It was really convenient and nice that the day reset each day so that they didn't have to worry about that. So overall, I love this book. I thought it was really great. I can't wait to read the sequel. I hope you guys liked it. I am still curious about your thoughts. It's hard for me to talk about a book and critique it when I just loved it as much as I love this book. So I've just sort of been going on and on about the things that I really liked, but I just really liked it. And it's so refreshing to read a book that you just really like. Thank you guys for joining me on reading Miss Peregrine's Home for Peculiar Children. I'll be announcing what our next book is soon. I haven't decided yet. but keep an eye out for that next week. I'll see you then. Bye guys!